Hello, and welcome to another episode of Shampoo and Booze. This is episode number 52 at shampooandbooze.com.
I want to say hello to our friends, Wendy and Mikey, that might be hearing this.
Yes.
Wendy and Mikey are big inspirations for us. They, kind of have helped us start the way of life that we had that's working for ourselves.
And they have an Airbnb now.
And they just started an Airbnb. So they renovated, or they actually built from scratch, like a little kind of house by their house.
It's not little. It's a good size.
Right.
It's a dome.
And so I think they said they were starting to listen to our podcast. Now, Mikey had a really good idea for a topic, which I want to talk about now. And that is, what are our rules for renting to friends and family?
That is a great question.
Because I know it's Mikey and Wendy especially, they have a lot of friends, people that come through town.
They know a lot of people from all over the world.
And that is an interesting thing. If someone comes into town, you want to be like really, like say, hey, come and stay in this
beautiful,
cool place
we have, right? But
how long do you allow them to stay? Can they stay for free? How do you have that conversation where you set boundaries?
Because part of it too is like, it's like you said, it's luxurious to be like, we have this amazing guest house. Like for our purposes, we have an entire house. And it's hard to be like, but this is what pays our bills. So we can't just like let people stay there for free forever.
I remember a couple of years ago, you invited his brother and his wife to come and stay.
Right.
And you said, come and stay in our house for free, our rental. But I was like, that's like a holiday weekend. Like
it was a holiday weekend.
So we're gonna lose like $800.
Yeah, it was some crazy, and you're like, that's the mortgage payment.
You've got to really love your family. But I think the answer for us is it's a balance. Number one is we like for our friends and family to stay not in our house because that gives us more flexibility.
Our house, so you're saying the house we live in.
Yeah, like the house because...
Yeah, well, we have a small house too.
Because, I don't want people kind of up in my business, even family. I like if you go stay over there and you enjoy yourself, and then we'll get together and have family time.
Right.
So that's a benefit. And the other thing is too, part of having stuff, having other houses,
property,
is to share it.
Yeah, sure.
It makes us proud when our family comes and stays.
They have a cool place to stay.
And I guess we've never had to actually have that conversation of like, you can only stay 3 days, 5 days, because honestly, it's no one has ever come here wanting to stay more than 4 or 5 days.
Right. But so in general, our rule is, our direct family can always stay for free if it's not booked. If the house is booked, you're not kicking people out.
Right.
But you're not going to make your family pay to stay, obviously. But when it comes to like acquaintances or friends, whatever, like we'll give you a discount because this is our business. It's how we pay the electricity bills.
For the most part, that's the way we do it. It's with friends and acquaintances is we're like, we'll give you a discount
or we barter.
Right. Like we had some friends come and stay, and they had a local family come and stay, and they had like a whole family thing. Yeah. And in a return, they did a bunch of work. Like they cleaned up stuff. It was
they
so perfect.
Helped us do some little like carpentry jobs. We were like, that was super helpful for us.
Yeah. But I think we would not be afraid to tell people no. If someone were to just outright say, can I come and stay for 2 weeks for free?
We'd be like, no.
I would have no problem telling people that's not going to work out for us.
Yeah, we can't do that,
But I wonder how other people do that.
Yeah, I'm curious to know. I am curious to know because, it does afford you the ability to have your family come stay, like you said, not in your house, and they get to have a nice vacation, but if they're like, we're coming on July 4th weekend. You're like, well, that's like literally $1,000 weekend. Yeah. So no.
I try and do that with family where they want to come. And, it doesn't happen that often. So it's not like
it's not that often.
Major problem. But I do try and push them towards parts of the year, parts of a week that aren't as popular.
Yeah, exactly.
And they often understand too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So it's not a big deal. I think it's more about, like you always say, setting expectations where you just let people know up front.
Yeah.
Whether it's an acquaintance or it's like your mom.
Right.
You know, you're like, yeah, come stay. You know, we'll block off those days for you.
Yeah.
That's usually how.
So I would think if I was talking to Mikey and Wendy, because again, I know that they're very popular people that have a lot of people wanting to come and stay. I would just be very clear, like, we'd love for you guys to come. The best I can do is I can give you a friend discount. You know,
that's what we do. Yeah,
20% off, 10%
or something
off,
or
whatever. You know,
because the other thing too that a lot of people don't think about, you know. Our house, our rental house, it's not free and clear. We do have a mortgage and we pay all the utilities on it.
Yep.
You know, and for Mikey and Wendy, I mean, they built this dome bedroom from scratch and they spent a lot of money on it to make it really nice. So they need to pay those, you know, costs back. It's not like they're like, it's free and clear. You know, that's why we rent these things because we have to pay for them.
Yep.
You know, so it's a business. It's a real business.
So we just actually came back from a 3-week trip, and part of that trip we were in Bellingham,
Washington.
and we had actually rented, you know, and we're the kind of people, we're looking for like cheap, we want its value, and we actually rented an apartment in someone's house, like a basement apartment.
It's a basement apartment.
The first one we rented, we had booked, and then like 3 weeks before we showed up, she actually canceled.
Yeah.
Because of kind of what we're talking about. She said her mom gotten sick, is moving back into her home, and she's going to now be in her
like
Airbnb.
live with them.
So I mean, I think that happens too when people are using parts of their home for Airbnb. Family stuff can come up, you know?
Right?
And you have to a balance. It's what's more important, you know,
right?
Like taking care of a sick mom or
running a business, yeah. So they canceled on us, but we actually rented the same place we rented last year,
right?
Which is funny,
which is great, and it was again another basement apartment,
yeah.
And I'm sure this family has to balance between like that room could be really it's useful for our kids, but we would rather block it out and have it be like for generating income.
Extra income, yeah, exactly. Help pay the mortgage.
Yep. Okay, let's talk about it's rentals. Just give people kind of updates, and this is more just so if you're thinking about doing it or if you are doing it, let's just kind of talk about its reality of how these things work. So, for us, we live in a vacation area. We're in vacation season. And it's been feeling a little slow for us.
Yeah.
But like we always say, if you do the numbers, you often get a different story.
Yes.
So even though it felt slow, we've actually been doing really well.
Yeah.
Like we grossed $4,300 in April.
That's like
off of, you know, anytime we can make more than $4,000 on rentals
is amazing.
And I would say the reason why I felt slow was over half of those people that booked were done at the last moment, you know?
There was a time, because we went away for almost 3 weeks, where we were like, nobody's booked while we're away. And I swear, it was like the day before we left, we got almost every day was booked. Right. We were like, what?
People were, it's booking those weird Tuesdays and Wednesdays that were open.
So weird.
I mean, those are like... you know, those are a magical moment because those are the days we never think people are gonna book.
Right, and so, like a Tuesday and Wednesday.
And it really did feel like, you know, we were living in the future because it is awesome. We're like doing other jobs or like in Baltimore and like we're walking down the street and we get a message on our phone, someone booked. And I'm able to, while we're walking down the street, send them a message like, cool, thanks for its booking, and do arrangements. It's with them just right there.
Plus, we coordinate with our cleaner and the person we hired to help us do laundry. So that was all on our phone.
Yeah, I think if you have been listening to this podcast, that's the big change we've had from a year or two ago is we've kind of been able to build some kind of infrastructure, some people infrastructure since we first began. You know, when we first began, it was definitely like we're doing everything.
Right.
We're cleaning, we're doing everything.
Then we got tired.
And now we have a cleaner, and now we actually have someone that cleans our laundry for us too.
Yeah.
And we have got them both on chat or and made sure we can talk to them through text.
Right.
And it's great.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's like we said, it's like living in the future, where you're like, I can be somewhere and coordinate with the people who are helping me. You don't even have to have a phone call. You're just texting, making sure everything's good. They're ready. You can even pay them over your phone. Like, it's incredible.
So, a couple things with our it's rental that we do have. So this year we tried to raise our prices.
Yes.
We were booked solid a year ago. We were like, well, let's see how much more the market will bear.
Right.
I think one reason why we haven't been fully booked in advance is because I think we might have priced too high.
Yeah.
This is just a theory or a hypothesis. I think we might have lost out on a lot of the people that book early because they went with cheaper options.
Right.
And that's because also not only did we raise our prices, I think in our area there are more cabins and rentals that have entered the its market.
Yeah.
I've seen them. You go on Airbnb.
They're $100 a night.
Our area, and people are willing to really rent cheap. So, we couldn't have it's foreseen this so much, but we've kind of leveled out our prices some. We've it's brought them down, and we're seeing more it's bookings now. But that's what the free market is, right?
Well, and that's the beautiful thing about having your own place. You can change the price at any time. If you're like, maybe we were betting a little too high.
Yeah, I mean, and I wonder how long some of these other cabins that are renting so cheap, how they can stay in business. I mean, either they're just willing, there might be just making enough to pay like a mortgage,
right? But
after they pay a cleaner and everything else, I don't know. We'll see.
Or if they're cleaning it themselves, I mean, it's exhausting.
But that being said, we still believe that quality will find its audience.
Yes.
That in any area, there are different levels of people who are wanting to rent.
Right.
So it's not just about price. Like, we aren't selling a commodity item. Like, we don't all have the same iPhone case and we're competing for the same person. So it's about who gets to get as low as possible. I still think if you have a nice place,
you should be able to charge more.
You should be able to charge more. And so that's what we've been doing. And, to kind of say we've been doing good, we've been getting people that have been staying so far in 2017. We've been really getting some good things that people say,
Well, the other thing too is like it really helps when people tell us if there's an issue, and the issues are super minor, but we want to fix that so it's not an issue.
Right. I mean, it's been good. I mean, people have told us we love the place, all these things, and then we've had a couple people say, but can't you do this, this, and this? And I love that,
Okay, so we had someone that we knew through our other podcast rent our place. And the great thing about that is, just like we're talking about with friends and family, if you let them stay at your place, you have to say if we're missing something or if something's off, because we don't stay there. So if something's wrong with like the bed, a little slat on the bed is broken, I might not see that for a while, and I need to know that. So he gave us this list. Some of it was a little luxurious that I'm like, okay, but we're still going to do it.
But that's good.
But so he gave us a list. We went through the entire list and said, we're going to do all of it.
Yeah. So he said, buy new, it's cooking pans. Ours had been a couple of years old. And they
started to warp.
And we have one of those, it's glass top electric stoves. Yeah. And so we didn't know. So we bought brand new cooking pans.
Yeah.
We have a Wi-Fi network on its property. And he was kind of a techie guy. He told us about this other kind of, it's network that we could.
Now we had been looking at a mesh network, but we were like, they're too pricey, and then we decided, look, let's just get the expensive one. It costs like $200 something because we want the whole property to have Wi-Fi. We're techie nerds. We're on the internet all the time. If people are like, oh, I'm too far over, I can't get the network. No, that's not what I want.
And also on the bed, we have an IKEA big king size bed, and I guess I didn't know, they have those slats
Yes.
that the bed is on. And I didn't know that there were the cheap ones and the more expensive ones.
I did know that.
I didn't know that. So we
had the middle ground ones.
Okay. And these are his rollout ones. He says they squeak a lot.
And they squeak.
And that's
yeah.
a problem because obviously if you're moving around, if there are other people in the house,
you can hear it all.
And so we bought the ones that he said are more expensive and are better, and so we'll install those.
Yes, those are coming.
And then something he didn't say, but something we've been wanting to do is, I mean, we've actually had people that have rented that say, I want access to a vacuum cleaner.
And I think part of it, too, is when people... now, I'm like this at an Airbnb, is we kind of clean up before we go. We'll tidy up. And if people have dogs, I think sometimes they're like, I just want to vacuum before I go.
See, I guess I didn't think, people would want that because I don't want people to think we expect them to clean. Or... it's like, if you're on vacation, who wants to clean?
Who wants to vacuum?
But I now understand. Yeah, there are people they just like to be tidy, and if they spill something or they have a dog. So anyway, we actually bought a Dyson V6 vacuum.
Look, we'd been looking for one of these because we'd heard about them. We were visiting your sister in Chicago a couple weeks ago. She had one, and we saw it on the wall, and we're like, we just want to try the vacuum. Like we had to she's like, why are you vacuuming? I'm like, we want to try the vacuum.
Yeah, it's super lightweight and looks nice.
The thing about it is, it's a portable vacuum that has a lithium-ion battery. You don't have to plug it in. It's always charging on the wall. And the battery lasts about a half an hour, which is exactly how much it takes to vacuum the entire house. So if our cleaner and us, when we clean, don't have to haul the vacuum from the basement up and then up to the second floor. It's just like, if it's just there, just use it.
Well, plus, if it's just on the its wall,
anyone can use it.
It looks nice, too. I mean, it looks pretty fancy.
We spent $200 on it. It was $200, right? We bought it on eBay, so it was actually refurbished from Dyson.
Right. So...
well, it's still in the box. We should open it and try it.
Yeah. Well, we need to install it.
We need to install it on the wall, yeah.
But, I think... if you, there are two things that you can do. It's, as soon as you have an Airbnb up and it's going, it starts making you income. You can do two things. Number one is that you can be like, I want to get another one of these,
Right.
Which put your money towards getting another one. And that's great. It's expanding your empire,
Right. Don't say that.
But you can also... always be improving the one that you already have.
Right.
And, and we've done that. I mean, we just talked about this. We put in some new furniture, some better beds.
And look, it costs money. It's expensive. It's expensive to buy nice beds. And honestly, at first, we bought two expensive beds. One was really nice. One was okay. I actually slept on one of them, and then we kind of looked at the other one, and I was like, I can't believe we have these beds. We have to. I'm so glad we got new beds.
Right.
People spend time in the bed.
Right.
That's what they're doing there. Yep. So you got just real quick. My sister was setting up an Airbnb room in her spare bedroom in her apartment. I went to go help her do some painting and set up this Airbnb bedroom. She had this. I think it was honestly smaller than a full-size bed. This Victorian oak bed.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's tiny.
Yep.
And she had this firm futon mattress. I'm just like...
and she wanted two people to stay there.
Yeah.
A couple.
So she's in Boston, so she can charge a great price. And I'm like, you need a better bed. I am sleeping over and I don't want to sleep in this bed.
Right.
And she's like, what? It's not so bad. No. If you and I were in Boston, you'd be like, we're not sleeping in this bed. It's tiny. It's like a twin bed.
Right.
So I actually went on Craigslist and found this insane person selling this beautiful bed in Boston. Brand new mattress, West Elm bed for $20.
She's not insane. She's generous.
I was like, I wrote to her. I was like, are you serious? This is $20? And she's like, yep. And I was like, my sister's name is Ashley. Ashley, you need to go get this now. And so now she has this beautiful plush queen bed back there. And I'm like, okay, I would sleep over. And now you can charge more. Yep. That's the story.
So, we think that quality is worth it. And
people are paying to stay there,
And so that's what helps you be a separate entity
from the other places.
The kind of scrum that are willing just to kind of put places up. It's pretty bare bones. It's cheap. And what's funny is we're like different people. I mean, we're of two minds.
Yes.
As Airbnb owners, we actually hit the top of its market, where we make things really nice and we're trying to get the most money out of it.
Yeah.
When we rent,
we're
almost the opposite. I'm actually looking for the cheap places, so I'm glad they exist, and I'm willing to deal with a lot of bare bones accessories just because I want it to be cheap. So it's just funny how that works. And there is a market for both of those things.
Right, exactly. So there is a market for it. When you're an owner, though, I don't super recommend that like your place should be bare bones.
Well,
unless that's what it is.
No. I mean, see, I think it needs to be a conscious choice.
Okay.
Like, if you're willing to do bare bones, then that's fine. Accept it, and you're not going to get
price accordingly.
Yeah, and you're not going to get a higher price for It's Your Place. I guess our point is, though, you can get more for It's Your Place by not investing that much.
Yeah, it's not that much. I mean,
Right.
It is money. We spent $200 on a vacuum.
But I think we're getting $100. It's more every night.
Yep.
Just because we've kind of upgraded the interior of the house.
Now, the reason I'm being so passionate about this, because the place we stayed recently, and we stayed there 2 years in a row, is super bare bones.
Right.
And
we knew that going in.
We already knew that.
Because it was cheap. It was like $60 a night.
$60 a night. It was near the job that we were doing. We were in Washington for work. It's just a funny thing being an owner of like trying to be like high end and then staying in a place where you're like, oh, I'm in a dorm. Like I am bare bones. There's no art on the wall. Right. I can hear every single word the people above me in the actual house are saying. Right. There are kids and dogs running around.
But the great thing is, it's cheaper than a hotel.
Much cheaper.
There's more space.
Yeah. It's in a neighborhood.
You get a full bedroom, and then there's like a whole place to eat and to kind of prepare food. Yes. So that's why it's great. And it's just, it's great having those different, those different places that you can stay in. Right. And, we're always back and forth between like, if we paid $20 more, it looks like we'd have a little better experience.
But is it worth it?
Right.
Yeah. And like we said, we had stayed in a hotel for a week of work in Baltimore. We didn't have a refrigerator. We didn't have a microwave. We had nothing. And it was great to be in Washington and be like, okay, we didn't have a kitchen, but we had a big fridge and a microwave and like...
And there's a couch.
Yeah, and there's like a place to hang out, and it's like...
A table to eat on.
It's like 800 square feet.
Right.
You're like, this is so much nicer.
Yeah.
But like you said, so we stayed there the year before, and we gave him like a list of improvements, like, oh, you should do this. He did one of them.
Yeah.
Which was actually helpful because he put hooks by the door so you could hang your bag and your jackets and your scarf or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's new after we came last year. But nothing else was changed. But we're just like, what? Why? He's doing fine. People are giving him good reviews and whatever, So, yeah, that's just the way it is.
So let's talk about its numbers. So, how many nights have we booked in 2017? So out of 365 nights, we've now booked 93 nights.
Our goal is 200
so
nights.
We're almost, we're about halfway through the a year, and we're about halfway booked. But the great thing is we still have all a summertime, and then we have all fall that really hasn't been booked yet.
And look, like we said, I'm telling you, whatever, like 85% of our bookings are Airbnb. People book last minute. That's just what they do on Airbnb.
Yeah, it seems
a
like
lot of
it,
times,
But it does make it a little nerve.
Yeah.
It's racking. Like this month, all of our weekends are booked and a lot of our weeknights are booked. But in the next 2 weeks, we actually have some blocks during the week that are unbooked. And actually, I just adjusted our prices a little bit, and I'm hoping we get those as minute people,
Yeah, no,
I'm just waiting for that. I am like a Pavlovian dog. I'm waiting for that sound on our phone.
That's the thing about Airbnb. I wish that they had different sounds for different events. Yeah. Like if someone's just messaging you, don't make it sound like someone's booking.
Yeah, exactly.
We've said that before. It's like, come on.
Okay, so this is a big story for us. So this is our life. And this is, we bought a second place to turn into a rental. We call it the River House.
It's not on the river.
We keep talking about this place, and we have it's renovating it.
Yes.
And we had to take a break because of our tax bill.
We're self-employed.
Yeah. Anyone that's self-employed knows what we're talking about. You know, people, you know, we don't get taxes taken out of our paychecks because we don't get paychecks. You know, we have to pay quarterly, and we just made more money this year than we thought, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And so our tax bill was more than we expected, so we had to kind of stop,
right,
do our patriotic duty, pay our taxes,
right,
which we've done. So now we're all caught up.
Yep.
And we've even paid our quarterly for 2018, so good for us. We now have the money to finish this renovation, but our original people that were working on it have moved on.
Yes.
Like one guy got a job at Lowe's, you know.
Yeah.
The other two guys are kind of doing something else. Finding good help is hard.
It's hard.
I mean, I think anyone that's done fix up a house knows what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So actually, I hired, a friend, a guy that I know.
A friend that we know.
An older man who's a carpenter.
Yeah.
I asked him to come, and would he be interested in doing some work, and he was going to do the wood around our windows.
Just the frames, the trim.
And we're talking about like handcrafting it,
well, it's heartwood pine wood.
Taking these old boards that we bought that were in an old 1800s church, and take the wood and mill it, and he thought he could do it quickly. It took him a week to do one window,
which our former carpenters would have gotten the whole house done in a week.
Yeah,
truly they would have.
So we had a convert. So I talked to him, and I was like, "Let me just pay you for the work that you've done." And he acknowledged. We agreed that's a little slower than we can handle. So,
it's too slow.
And I just talked to another guy, and we walked through the building, and so I think we're going to hire him, and he's going to start soon.
Yeah.
And so it is. I just say anyone that does, I guess contractor is one word. Another is craftsman.
Right.
Anyone that does this kind of work, just I just think there is a huge market for anyone who has skill at building and who will show up when they say they're going to show up and do what they're going to say. I feel like they would be rich. They would never not have work.
I'm telling you, the reliable people who show up and do the work and give you a quote and are on par with that quote. You're like, wow, you're an actual amazing person.
Right, because
it's so rare.
I've been calling people. It's this week, and it's hard to get people.
It's a job. Your job, just finding someone to do finished carpentry.
Yep.
I'm just like, I don't know how you're doing this, because so there was another guy that you knew that you were like, come look at it, tell us how much time you might, it might take you. He couldn't even show up to do that. You're like, all right, clearly I'm not going to hire you.
It is strange. And this is not something new. I mean, just anyone that has worked on houses is just kind of that stereotype of working with contractors. I don't know why it can be difficult. But
I don't know.
But, someone like its father does this kind of work.
Right.
And it's one of those guys that's always overworked, overbooked, because he actually does.
Because he's reliable. Yeah.
And so he's got a list of, hardcore, regular.
And now clients. I understand why. Back when I used to help him do work, when I was in college and high school, forever, since I was 5. And I would see the people in our neighborhood in Boston obsessively being like, we love your dad. Whenever I'd see them at the grocery store or a yard sale, they're like, we love your dad. He does the best work. He always shows up. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Now I'm like, no kidding. Right. I know why these people are rabid about
He's
my
our
dad. Hired a husband or hire a husband or something. Right. Yeah. So it's funny because now I understand.
And in the best dream world, I mean, we would love to find a younger
craftsman,
carpenter, or craftsman who is working for themselves, who
who shows up, who's
and who wants to work. Like, it's strange. I find like the only guys I can find are kind of older, semi-retired kind of guys who are like, they obviously have either other kinds of income or they're living on Social Security or something.
Hard because I feel like the younger guys in our area, they must all have work. Well, building like cheap condos or something.
Or they just need to have 40-hour-a-week jobs. And, you know, the idea of, it's one thing doing the craftsman's work. It's another, you know, always booking enough work out ahead. Yeah. And so, I mean, I know this isn't easy. I'm just saying, like, it's interesting that it's difficult.
It's hard to find, like, where are those people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, if anyone knows of anyone.
Yeah, if anyone in the Virginia, like the Northern Virginia area, if you're like a craftsman carpenter,
just please tell us.
We have work for you. Okay, a couple of random things.
Yes.
We were mentioned on a couple of blogs.
Yes, so one person who's like I think we talked about this, kind of an Instagram person, like a known social media person named Natalie. She does this blog called thefashionablybroke.com, and she came and stayed at our house, and she actually did this like amazing photo shoot. I saw some of her stuff on Instagram when she was staying, but I didn't realize, like, her and her boyfriend, like, her boyfriend's a photographer, clearly, because the photo shoot is incredible.
Yeah. And it was just interesting to see our place through someone else's eyes.
Right.
Like, the places in the yard and the house she chose to, like,
to hang out
in and how she designed it. And
it was cool.
Interesting, yeah.
It was really
And then
cool.
we were just mentioned as a podcast it's resource on it's Lodgify.
That's a funny word.
Just one of these sites, I guess, that are kind of you know, as a resource for people who are trying to rent places.
Which is cool, actually. I think that those are.
It was us and 4 other podcasts about kind of Airbnb, and it's an interesting. It lists because each one does a different kind of niche.
Right, which is cool.
Like, you know, we're the rural kind of vacation home niche. Right. Then there are people in like a city, and then, you know, people who focus more on like buying different properties,
right.
And kind of,
and then people focus on like metrics and stuff like that.
Or and then one couple is focusing on like renting your own home.
Oh, interesting. You know? Yep. So. Oh, I actually now want to check that out. So yeah, that was on logify.com.
So we will put both of those links on our blog if you're interested at shampooandbooges.com.
So we have a couple voicemail messages that we can listen to. Hooray! You can call our voicemail line and tell us something or ask us something. The phone number is 540-407-8486.
Hey, this is Judy with a Airbnb message, but I also listen to Scavenger Life. And due to your inspiration and listening to y'all, I've decided that when I get the current renters out, it might take a little bit, I'm going to turn my house down here in Winston-Salem into an Airbnb. So I've been, binge listening to all the podcasts, and I just heard the one where you talked about the bar soap, and of course, see, my mind always goes blank. Anyway, Jay said, I wouldn't want to use somebody's bar soap. But then at the end, you talked about the lady you had made the creme fraiche, and the lady ate it, and you said, oh, some people would say that's disgusting. Oh, I'd totally eat it. And that was sort of funny to me, really. It's kind of a oxymoron that you don't want to use the soap, but you eat the food they made. But anyway, that was one thing I was going to ask about, what things are okay to leave from time to time, i.e. buy the bigger size and leave and let people use them, different groups of people, and what things need to be new each time. And I think a bar soap is exactly one of those things. Other thing is, I talked to a lady here in my town that has about 6 Airbnbs. She said that she puts a minimum age of 25 on her listings, but we are in a semi-college town. So that might have a lot to do with it. But it was when I was listening to the lady who got her place trashed. And she also said in her extra bedrooms, rather than put like a queen-size bed, she put in 2 twin beds. because that was like dual usage. And it made me think back to when I've been in Europe, and a lot of times the beds are 2 twin beds pushed together. And I thought that made a lot of sense, because then you can have people who will push them together and use it as one bed, or they could pull it apart and use it as twins. And I'm going to have to see if I can get a twin bed in any of my little bitty bedrooms. But anyways, just wanted to share, and maybe I'll be caught up to the current edition of the podcast soon. Thanks for all you do. Bye.
So I think you bring up a very good point as to we all probably have different ideas of what they think is gross. So me personally, I think a used bar of soap in a shower is gross. But I will, eat, like, if there's a half a jar of mayonnaise, I will eat out of that out of the fridge. And someone else might think that's gross.
Let me just talk about a bar of soap versus a jar of mayonnaise. A bar of soap is put on people's private parts. A jar of mayonnaise is just like someone used it. But, like, it's again, two different things.
Someone might argue, like, it's soap, it gets washed off. So anyway, I think as a host, we all just have to make the choice as to what
works.
So, like, in our it's rental, we don't have a bar of soap.
We have shower gel.
Squeeze shower gel.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do leave a tube of toothpaste that people will use.
That's interesting.
And, some people might think that's totally gross. But I've had people say they love that we did that because they forgot
their toothpaste.
Yeah. Now, I guess I could go and buy, like, the little tiny small ones and just replace it each time. And again, that's just my choice.
That's a good point.
As a host,
That's a very good point.
And in our fridge, we do leave condiments, so there will be mayonnaise and ketchup and mustard. Because if you're just staying for 2 nights, why do I need to go and buy, as a guest,
that stuff?
All those condiments to make a hamburger.
You don't want to have to buy that stuff.
And so again, people can make a choice.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. If you're in a shower and you only have a bar of soap, I don't really have a choice because that's the only thing that I can use. But if I'm cooking, I mean, I don't have to use the ketchup or the that's just my choice.
Right.
If not, I can go buy it.
Right, that's true.
Does that make sense?
I'm just saying in the shower, just use shower gel. Because then it's like, it's like shampoo. It's something that can be used by anyone over and over again, and you just refill it. In terms of the beds, that was really a cool idea to do 2 twin beds, because you're right, it's not always a couple. Right now we have 3 beds, 2 queens and a king. That clearly has to be a couple to stay.
I think our problem is that some of our bedrooms are so small
they can't fit 2
even if
twins.
You had 2 twins, you really couldn't push them apart with enough space in between them to make it be comfortable.
Right.
So we've just made the choice to just squeeze it.
But if your rooms accommodate that for 1 or 2 of the rooms, I think that's a very smart idea.
Yeah.
And some couples don't care. They'll sleep in 2 twin beds. It's not a big deal. It's more comfortable. It's fine. The other thing you talked about is the minimum age. Now, Jay, do you know if on Airbnb there's a minimum age to sign up?
I think you can choose. I don't know. I think you can choose whether or not you allow people under a certain age.
Under like 25. It's like car rentals.
I'm not sure though.
But you know what? The great thing about Airbnb is you can vet people. I mean, hopefully, we've never had anyone that was like, honestly, under like 24 years old. We did have some college students one time, and they were super nerdy and cool, so it was fine. Just vet people. That's all we say.
Oh, I do. I want to say something else about the amenities and what's gross and what's not. I think
you're really thinking about it.
I am because
no, I agree.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I think the choice is, as a host, do you offer a lot of amenities? Which means some of the stuff is used by multiple people. Jar of sugar. Coffee. I mean, there are things in the fridge that people touch in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Did you offer that stuff to people? Or we've stayed in places they don't
have anything.
I mean, they don't give you any.
Sometimes not even shampoo.
They don't give you any kind of food. They don't give you anything in the bathroom. And so, what is better? And I guess You just have to figure out what a level of amenities are you
I've heard people say that they are doing, single serve for everything, almost like a hotel. It's a wrapped bar of soap that's tiny, that when they're done with it, you either take it home yourself if you don't think it's gross, or, and put a new little wrapped bar of soap in. Some people do that. That's what they want to do.
Some people.
But a shower gel that you can refill from Costco or Walmart or whatever.
It's just as easy.
Super easy. It's cheap. It's fine. So yeah, it's a great question.
Hello, my name is David. I run an Airbnb in Calgary, Canada. I really enjoy your Airbnb podcast. I found it about a month ago, and I'm just going through all of them. I'm getting lots of great tips, and it's kind of exciting to follow your adventure. And I wish you really good luck on your new venture with the River House. I hope it is able to get up and running soon. My Airbnb is a little bit different than yours. We have a walkout basement, and so that means that they're like living below us, and we have quite a quick turnaround. Usually guests only stay like 1 or 2 nights at the most, and it's just for like commuting, business trips on the way to the Rockies. So it's sort of a different objective, and we also have a ceiling with that. We can't really charge much more than $60 Canadian a night because, well, first of all, they're like, we're right above them, so they can hear everything that we do. And, it's not luxury. So we're sort of hamstrung in that way. And plus with the kids, they tend to make a bit of noise, so we can't really charge too much. But we're really, really enjoying it. We also have something different than you guys. We offer a self-check-in, self-checkout where, our priority is giving our guests as much privacy as possible. And we live in the suburbs. We've never had a problem with crime or anything. So, or bad house or bad guests. So we've been lucky that way. So I know it's sort of against maybe the philosophy of Airbnb, but we find that guests really like it. April's been our best month. We have been booked solid, except for 1 day this month. But still, it's not that much money coming in overall, but we really enjoy it, like I said. What I wanted to know is about your strict cancellation. I noticed on your website you have that, and how is that going for you? Our policy is they're allowed to cancel up until 24 hours, the open cancellation, right, or the relaxed one. And so we haven't really noticed that guests are canceling all the time.
Okay, so this is a great call. I mean, number one, we love Canadians.
Yes.
You described the exact place that we just stayed in.
It's pretty much the exact same
in Bellingham.
Thing.
It's a suburban house.
Yep.
They had a walkout basement. We were purely there because we were working kind of like about a mile away. We'd rather stay there than a hotel.
It was a good price. It was $60
It was
a night.
self-check. We did not see the people one time.
Right, which is fine with us.
And actually, they have a quirk in this house where they have like a basement door, like a glass door, that doesn't lock.
There's not even a lock on it.
So there was no lock to give us. He just said,
come on in.
And you can unlock it from the inside, but there's no way to unlock it from the outside. So that was a little weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the great thing is that it was cheap. It was obvious we were in someone's house because, about 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, it starts getting crazy loud because we're in the basement and people are upstairs running around.
Making dinner, they have guests over, the dog is barking.
Dogs are running, we can hear every single conversation.
I mean, literally, you can hear every word they're saying.
And, and so it makes us think, like, can they hear everything we say? But,
it doesn't really matter.
Is what it is. And, I think this, especially in the early days, was what Airbnb was all about. Right. Rent a room in your home.
Yep. Exactly. It's still like that.
Yeah, and I think that's really smart. If we lived, and I think this really works too if you live in a city or suburb of an urban area, this is a great way to make extra cash.
Absolutely.
That's what your its sister is doing.
Yes.
She just moved into a new apartment where she'll be in one room and she's gonna rent out
the other one.
Her second one.
So smart.
Instead of getting a permanent person to stay there.
She's gonna make more money.
Right. I think that being said, I don't think it needs to be super bare bones. I mean, I don't want to go on and on about this, but, you can still make a place pretty nice.
Have a nice bed.
Yeah, right.
Have a comfortable bed that's more comfortable than your bed.
Right.
Or the bed people have at home.
Right. But, it's good. And it's just, again, it's just a different kind of option. I mean, like the guy who we booked with, it's $60 a night. So even if he books every single night, he'll gross $1,800. And that's every single night. I doubt he gets that it's many, but so that's good. I mean,
that's great.
That could be a mortgage payment.
Absolutely.
Because we're renting out an entire home, we can make over twice that, and that's. But we have more. It's money invested in it.
Yeah, totally.
So the other thing he asked was about. We have strict cancellation policy.
Which means what?
Which means I have to actually look. It's like if they cancel before 3 weeks,
right,
they get their money back. But it's after 3 weeks, it's like 50%, and then if it's like a week before, they don't get anything back. And for us, I've only had 2 people in 3 years contact us and kind of complain or asked if we could kind of bend those rules.
I think we've only had 2 people cancel too. Right. Right? I mean, it's not like we have lots of cancellations.
In one cancellation, they gave us a reason that we were okay with, and we gave them its money back.
And it was a holiday, so we knew it would get booked.
But the thing for us is, I think it'd be different if we had like a room under our house where we're, it's like $60. If someone canceled 24 hours, we're not out a lot of cash, and maybe someone might even book
last
very
minute.
quickly.
Yeah.
But where we are, if someone were to cancel a week or 24 hours it's before, we may lose a weekend.
Which is a lot of money.
We may lose, $800.
Like we're saying, it's a business.
Right.
So this isn't just like, side income that's helpful. It's like, we got to pay that mortgage.
And it's like anything, those terms are clear. And and you can actually do a search on Airbnb.
For the policy.
Show me only places where I can cancel 24 hours ahead.
Right.
And, they can find those places.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, thanks for calling in. That is it for the podcast this week. You can check out the blog at shampooandbooze.com for the links we talked about and to join the conversation. You can call and leave a question or a comment on our voicemail line. Again, that phone number is 540-407-8486. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube so you always get the latest episode. You can listen to our other podcast where we talk about selling stuff online that we scavenge to fund our renovations, and that is at scavengerlife.com. Bye!